Yes, another point for Iran in World Cup qualifying. On today's episode, we will recap and analyze Iran's match against Uzbekistan and share some final thoughts. You know the deal, and you know what time it is. It's time for Team Melli Talk. How would Iran play against the Uzbeks? Hey everyone, welcome back to Team Melli Talk. We know what you want, so let's get right to Iran's starting lineup against Uzbekistan. Getting the starting goal, Alireza Bayramvand. Now for the back line, Milad Mohammadi, Shoja Khaliazadeh, Hossein Kenani, Saleh Hardani. Now for the defensive midfielders, Saman Ghodus, Omid Nurafkan. Now for the attackers on the wings, Mehdi Torabi and Alireza Jahanbakhsh. Of course, providing support, Mehdi Taremi. And of course, up top as a lone striker, Sardar Azmoun. A typical starting 11 from Amir Ghalenoui. Now let's check out the highlights.
میلاد منتظر سوت داور، حالا ارسال انجام میده روی دروازه، فرصت برای ایران و حسین کنانی زادگان. توپ بیرون رفت و ضربه دروازه هم اعلام کرد داور کره‌ای. پاس بلند پشت دفاع برای مهدی طارمی، به توپ رسیده مهدی طارمی، یه لحظه اونجا تعادلش از دست داد. نه به توپ رسید نه خطایی اعلام شد. پشت دفاع مهدی طارمی که آفساید هم به نظر نمی رسید. اینجا ببینیم چی شد. نه برخوردی که نداشت با دروازه‌بان، به نظر خودش یه لحظه تعادلش از دست داد. طارمی ضربه ایستگاهی رو ارسال میکنه روی دروازه ایران و توپ از همه رد شد و خوشبختانه به بیرون رفت تا بیرانوند کارو به جریان بندازه. شماره 2 ازبکستانه، سامان، ارسال بلندش به محوطه جریمه ازبکستان. ضربه سر شجاع خلیلزاده و توپی که رقص پای مهدی طارمی همچنان خودش حالا برمیگرده رو به دروازه. سردار آزمون همکاریش با طارمی وارد محوطه شده و میخواد دریبل بزنه. سامان قدوس با پای چپ، این شوت از راه دور. پرتاب بلند هم انگار میخواد انجام بده. علیرضا همین کار انجام میده درون محوطه ازبکستان. تو برگشته، بازم ضربه از سامان قدوس و تو با اختلاف به بالای دروازه رفت. یه لحظه اونجا اشتباه کرد شجاع خلیلزاده. اورونوف توپو برداشته و حرکت میکنه. این ضربه از استون اورونوف. وای که شانس آوردیم توپ با اختلاف کم. درباره تقابل اورونوف و ماشاریپوف با ایران اصلا دلش نمیخواد امیر قنونی گل بخوریم. فضا رو تنگ کرد علی بیرانوند، ضربه‌ش هم زد اورونوف و توپ با اختلاف خیلی کم به بیرون رفت. حالا جهانبخش صاحب توپ شد. صالح هردانی بود تو صحنه قبلی. دوباره توپ میرسه به هردانی. عالی بود حرکت صالح. فرصت برای گل اول. میریم برای گل اول. لحظه آخر توپ از جلوی سردار زدن. نشسته رو نیمکت کاتانچ. اینجا در جدال با نصرالله موفق بود، ارسالم انجام داد. ترابی رو پیدا کرد. دوباره طارمی، پاسش برای مهدی ترابی، شوت میخواد بزنه، همین کارم انجام میده اما توپش با اختلاف به بیرون رفت. میلاد محمدی، توپ میرسه به مهدی ترابی، پاس پشت پاش طارمی، خود ترابی اونجا زد پاشو. یه لحظه امید نورافکن شوت میزنه. امید نورافکن ضربش هم خوب بود انصافاً، با فاصله خیلی کم به کنار دروازه ازبکستان رفت. چه حسرتی هم میخوره خودش. حرکت امید نورافکن، خودش شوتو میزنه نورافکن و توپش با اختلاف به کنار دروازه ازبکستان رفت. پایان نیمه اول مسابقه. سامان قدوس پاس بلند میده برای طارمی، اونجا یه اشتباه، دروازه باز نشد و کورنر به دست اومد برای ایران. یوسپوف با مدافعینش. نیمه دوم میتونیم حساب کنیم روی این توپای پشت دفاع ازبکستان. این کورنر آخرین موقعیت نیمه اول خواهد بود که به ایران رسیده. ارسال بلند سامان در اون محوطه، توپ از همه رد شد. شجاع سر اولو میزنه. کنانی، طارمی میچرخه، مهدی ضربه رو هم میزنه. توپ دورشه سوتو زده داور کره‌ای. همین اتفاق هم میفته و اینجا برای رسیدن به گل که در نهایت این اتفاق نیفتاد. حالا شوت اولم شکروف میزنه سمت دروازه ما که علیرضا بیرانوند جهانبخش کنار دستش داره هردانی رو ترجیح میده بچرخه و در عرض کار کنه با امید نورافکن از راه دور ضربه رو میزنه و امید توپش با اختلاف به بالای دروازه میره. 13 امتیازی هن. با نتیجه تساوی هم به خاطر تفاضل بهتر ایران به عنوان صدرنشین این گروه به پایان خواهد رسید. ضربه شامورادوف راهی به دروازه ما نداره. رو پای راستش جهانبخش چقدر قشنگ بود حرکت علیرضا، خودش میتونه ضربه رو هم بزنه. علیرضا جهانبخش رو عقب با امید نورافکن، موقعیت هنوز هست. امید نورافکن وای که این شوتش دیگه چرا گل نشد. اینجا توپ قشنگ سوار شد رو پای امید، ضربه رو زد نزدیک دروازه، رو زمینم خورد اما تو چارچوب نبود و توپی که در اختیار خودمونه. جهانبخش ارسال رو به جلو، رسید مهدی طارمی به توپ، ردم کرد بازیکن ازبکستانو. پاس پشت محوط سامان قدوس، توپ لو نمیده و جهانبخش رو صاحب توپ کرد. خود امید میتونه ارسالش هم انجام بده، حالا این کار رو انجام میده. لحظه آخر سر و زد علی کلوف، از راه دور شوتش رو زد و توپش راهی به چارچوب دروازه ایران نداشت. اشتباه دروازه‌بان جهانبخش، این میتونه موقعیت جدی تری باشه. سردار جهانبخش با سر ضربه رو زد و اینم گل نشد. خوب بود حرکت، خودش پاسو داد، خودش پاسو گرفت، ضربه رو زد ولی توپش در عرض کار میکنه. ترابی پاس میده، جهانبخش حالا میتونه شوت بزنه، این کارم انجام میده و بازم توپش به کنار دروازه میره. علیرضا جهانبخش گل بخوره. پاس بلند شجاع برای سردار آزمون، داد برای ترابی، به توپ میرسه، وارد محوطه میشه مهدی ترابی. میریم برای گل اول یا نه؟ میریم برای گل اول یا نه؟ اولی اضافه شد و ضربه رو زد مهدی طارمی. واقعا هم دست زدن داشت این حرکت، این سری که صابون سردار، کنترل ترابی. اینجا توپ رسید به مهدی، ضربه رو زد و توپ چیزی نمونده بود تا با این ضربه بشه بهترین گلزن تقابلای ایران و ازبکستان. یه ضربه به سمت دروازه ایران، بیرانوند مشت کرد توپو. نصرالله اورونوف با پای راست میخواد ضربه رو بزنه، این کار رو انجام داد و گرفتن دوباره ازبک ها. اورونوف میره به چپ، فرصت دارن، این شوتی که زده میشه توپ به بالای دروازه ایران میره. شجاع رو عقب برای بیرانوند، به زحمت انداخت بیرانوند و اچه رو گرفت توپ رو، این ضربه به سمت دروازه ما. رد شد این موقعیت هم. این صحنه که لحظه ناهماهنگی بین شجاع و بیرانوند هم اومد توپ رو نگه داره، داشت تبدیل میشد به یه اشتباه، اما در نهایت خطر رفع شد از روی در. قدوس، میلاد محمدی، پاس نرسید اونجا به ترابی، از پشت سر اومد سامان، دوباره میلاد، ارسال بلند، سردار میبره به راست برای جهانبخش. علیرضا جهانبخش با پای چپ ضربه رو زد و این بارم فیض‌الله با پای راست ضربه رو میزنه اونجا، سر اولو زد ابوالفضل جلالی و کورنر به دست اومد برای ازبکستان. حداقل مساوی رو داشته باشیم که صدرنشین گروه بمونیم و باختی ندیم به ازبکستان. یه وقت یه حمله ببریم سمت دروازه ازبکستان، میتونیم تهدید کنیم اونا رو، ببینیم میفته این اتفاق یا نه. به سوتش نگاه کرد و زد سوت پایانو داور کره مسابقه.
Sorry you had to watch those highlights, but another draw with Uzbekistan. Iran and Uzbekistan, of course, will be moving on to the next round, but Iran wins the group on goal difference. Now, when looking back at the scoreless draw between Iran and Uzbekistan, it's really hard for me to say who the man of the match was for Iran because, it was such a dull performance. And when talking strategy and tactics and all that, I really think both teams had the same mindset of playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And joining me for this segment of the show, my good friend Roy Kaviani, joining us all the way from Doha, Qatar. Roy, as always, great to have you on the show, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me again. I'm always there for you. You know that. And for Team Ridley.
All right, awesome, man. Of course, like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And let's just get right to it. I mean, when I look back at the starting lineup and the match against Uzbekistan, right when I saw the starting lineup, I immediately said, actually, well, I can't remember what exactly I said. I'm sure it wasn't something I can share right here. But honestly, when looking back at the starting lineup, it was a typical Amir Ghalanoui starting lineup, and it was a starting lineup that did not make me excited at all.
Yeah, I think he went with his obvious 11, and he probably thought I'm gonna go nick it and win this and go top of the group, but unfortunately it failed. Anyway, we finished top of the group though.
All right, next, I want to share some numbers with you, okay? Because, while I was watching this game, I was making sure to, do my job, do what I got to do, in order to talk about this. There's numbers we cannot forget about. And when looking back at this match, look, in the first half, right now I'm focusing only on the first half. Iran had 7 long balls, about, I'd say, 11 giveaways, and they had 6 shots, but only 1 shot was on target. So those numbers I just shared with you, those long balls and not having a lot of shots on target, I mean, what does that say to you? I mean, like, imagine being a fly on the wall. Like, imagine if we could hear what Ghalanoui was saying. Do you think he had that strategy of don't take any risks, just play it safe?
I think so, yeah. But and I think some of the players, especially Taremi and a few of the others, they looked on holiday, really, and the team felt like, okay, we've qualified, we're at home, Uzbekistan's not going to beat us, so let's win it in the easiest way possible. And it was just like long ball, and it was negative. It was negative anyway. But Kalanoi, what do you expect?
Now, everyone says, and of course we saw it ourselves, Iran did play better in the second half. They had more shots, but surprisingly, out of those 7 shots in the second half, none of them were on target. I mean, but of course we can't forget about that post from Taremi. That's one of those moments where Iran fans are going to say, yes, we should have scored. And some people might say, had that ball gone in, Iran would have won 1-0, and everything is okay. But I mean, even when you think about, hypothetically speaking, hypothetically, if that would have happened, it still was not, an exciting match, and we still saw, basically the lack of tactics from Ghalanoui.
The draw was better than a win, because winning means, oh, I did my job right, and you just cover the patches, you cover the mistakes with small little patches. But yesterday showed a lot of problems in that team, on the flanks and creativity in the middle. I mean, it doesn't matter. Taremi and Sada, we know they can do the job. It's the rest of the guys, and a lot of work needs to be done before they get to the. It's called the third round now.
Now, next, of course, getting to the obvious, have to talk about Amir Ghalanoui. In my previous episode of Team LA Talk, I finished that episode, recapping the win against Hong Kong. I finished that episode talking about my concern about Amir Ghalanoui substitutions. And yet, we saw the same problems again. I mean, I really don't know what it was he was thinking. I mean, up until the 85th minute, Iran still had only made 1 substitution. I mean, yes, I was glad that Mohammad Gorbani was brought on for Omid Durafkan, but I really don't understand what it was that was going through his head. I mean, what was the point of that? It's not like it was a match in a tournament in the knockout phase where you're about to get to stop, where you're about to get to extra time, and you're saying, hey, I have these extra substitutions, these extra fresh legs. I'm going to beat my opponent. I'm outsmarting him. I mean, what was the point of that?
There's absolutely no point. He doesn't trust his team, obviously. And then, I mean, it wasn't life or death in that game. So try something new, do something else. I mean, he didn't. I mean, even you had Cristiano Ronaldo and you bring in a mom when 5 minutes left. What's he going to do? So I don't know. Maybe he just did the sub because it looks good on the sheet. Yeah, I've done a sub and I've tried something, but it's absolutely useless.
And a couple more substitutions did take place, right? These double switches. But it was very late in the match. He brought on Abdul Fazil Jalali, for Mehdi Torabi. But then he also brought on Shahriar Mogan Lu for Saman Goldus. And look, I've probably been beating this dead horse on more than a few occasions. But what is it about Mo Ganlu that Amir Galanoui, is so like? What is it he likes about him? Like, what is it about Mo Ganlu where Galanoui says this guy has to play for Team Melli? I mean, no, the other coaches before him were not calling him up at all, and this is clearly one of Galanoui's guys. I mean, I just don't get it.
You don't get it. I don't get it either. So the one to ask is him. It's unbelievable, man. We've said that before the Asian Cup. The guy is useless, and he just proved it game after game after game. And okay, Japan must be the highlight of his career, beating Japan in that game. But he's gone back to normal and just doesn't make sense. And didn't he remember? He said after the Qatar game, "I'm going to go and try younger players now." And he hasn't done that again. So he's gone back to the same team. He doesn't trust anyone. I don't know. Does he watch the league? Because we surely in Iran we've got lots of young players. Pick 6, 7 players, fine, but bring some younger kids in, especially in those games. A Hong Kong game, Turkmenistan game. Bring them on, let them play. Keep some of the big boys on the bench. See how it goes for 40 minutes, 60 minutes. If they can't get the job done, then you can bring some of the big boys. You gradually build the team, but I don't know what he's doing. What can we say?
And the next question I need to ask you, this directly involves, where you are. And I know it's obviously a national team you don't support, of course, but I'm talking about the national team of Qatar. Because look, going into this international break we just had, Qatar and Iran had something in common. They had both already clinched a spot in the next round, meaning that these last two matches basically meant nothing. But look,
Yeah.
Iran brought all its players, all their big guns. But Qatar, I saw their roster. Yeah, I know they drew 0-0 with Afghanistan. And when I first saw that score, I right away was a little concerned. Whoa, what happened there? They did end up beating India. But I looked at their roster. They brought a lot of younger players, untested players. And look, after that scoreless draw, was anyone like ringing the alarm bells in Qatar? Was there all kinds of was there a cause for concern? Were there football fans and were the football experts in Qatar saying, "I can't believe we just drew with Afghanistan"? Was that happening?
No, 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 no. It was a complete opposite because they know the team's qualified. So unlike Iran, they're thinking about the future. So he went. Some of the players yesterday were born in 2006. I mean, 2006. I've got shirts older than some of the players Qatar used yesterday, and against Afghanistan. That's called thinking forward, building a team for the future. It's all kids. He didn't even pick one player from the Asian Cup on that team in those 2 games, and it doesn't matter. They win. They've already qualified, but they still drew with Afghanistan, and they beat India. Dodgy goal, but it doesn't matter. And then he tried, he built, and it doesn't matter. Go and try these kids and have a go. And it's obviously the coach doesn't trust anyone. And anyway, our under 23 team didn't qualify to the Asian Cup, which was in Qatar here a couple of months ago. So it's telling you we've got a problem in that gap now. How long are we going to keep using these old players over 30? In the World Cup, in the Asian Cup, we were one of the oldest teams in the tournament, 27 point something. So you're not going to use those kids in 2026. So we're going to be about 30 years old average. Unbelievable. You need to bring some people in. It doesn't matter. Football, it doesn't matter. We're going to lose or win or lose. Doesn't matter. Bring them in. But he's not doing it. So the future looks dark with this guy again.
Roy, as always, really appreciate you taking the time to join me on Team Melli Talk. But as we know, the draw for the next round of qualifying will take place on June the 27th in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Now, if there is one team you really want to see Iran play in the next round of qualifying, which team is that, Roy, for whatever reason?
There's only one team I want more than anything. Qatar. Revenge. Prove ourselves. Prove it was fluke. We just need to beat them. I want that team. I want it now. So that's the team I want. I'm sure most of our fans are the same. That's the team we all want.
For me, from my point of view, actually, I want Saudi Arabia. I want revenge. I still remember that game very well. And actually, I was there and I still have nightmares from it. But yes, so I like your thinking. You want revenge. You want Qatar, you want revenge on Qatar, I want revenge on Saudi Arabia. I like the way we're thinking. Roy, as always, pleasure to have you on the show, man. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, mate. It's always a pleasure. And let's all stay positive because we've got a good chance in qualifying now. So let's stick to the team. Come on, Iran.
Now, to finish off this edition of Team LA Talk, just want to go over a couple positives. First, Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh. We obviously remember that he played very poorly against Hong Kong, but he played better against Uzbekistan. He had less giveaways, and we saw him being creative, coming close to also scoring a goal. So, like I said, I like the way he bounced back. Next, Omid Nurafkan. Yes, I know I'm not a big fan of him, but he did show us that he has a pretty strong left foot. We saw that with his long-range shots, and he came close to scoring on 2 occasions. So, definitely liked what I saw from him, that's for sure. But having said all that, he's still not good enough to be playing for Iran against much better oppositions. I mean, yeah, can he hang with teams like Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Hong Kong and the lower-ranked Asian teams? Absolutely. But I still don't think he's that good of a defensive midfielder, and Iran has much better options. And of course, got to finish this off by talking about Amir Ghalenoui. Now, I have to repeat something that my friend Roy Kaviani said earlier in this episode. He said that Amir Ghalenoui, doesn't trust a lot of his players. And of course, we're obviously talking about the younger footballers. But now, I have a very important question to all the Amir Ghalenoui supporters. How can we expect Iran's younger footballers to build confidence if their head coach doesn't trust them?